it can be washed off with the water, and if you put honey on a lotus leaf, it just runs off. So any aqueous-based liquids do not stick on the lotus leaf, and furthermore, the aqueous-based liquids could be used to clean the lotus leaf. Now, to design surfaces with various functionalities for various commercial applications, one would like to have various combinations of water and oil repellency and affinity. So these graph, which we call M5 bettability landscape, consist of 4 combinations of water and oil repellency and affinity. And in this graph, the horizontal axis shows the water contact angle from 0 to 180 degrees, and the vertical axis shows the oil contact angle from 0 to 180 degrees. So in this quadrant, you have a contact angle of both water and oil larger than 90, so both liquids are repelled, and at the extreme corner, the surfaces will exhibit superhydrophobicity and superoleophobicity. On the left, 4 combinations. Water contact angle is less than 90 degrees, so surface is hydrophilic, and water contact and oil contact angle is greater than 90 degrees, and surface is oleophobic. Whereas in this corner, contact angle is low both for water and oil, and it's hydrophilic and super oleophilic. And depending on what quadrant you're in, those surfaces could be used for various applications. For example, if surface is both superhydrophobic and superoleophobic, it could be used for self-cleaning, anti-fouling, anti-smudge, and anti-icing applications, whereas on the other extreme, techniques of water of affinity and repellency of liquids. Here we use several layer which has an opposite charge, so this layer is attached to the substrate we could create surfaces which will fit in either of the four. Both flow we have created surfaces which fit properties of interest is wettability, namely using a standard goniometer, the mechanical durability of substance is very important and to perform both micro scale and macro scale experiment. In the case of a micro scale, where experiment we use an AFM, and we'll scan a sample with an AFM tip at a certain load, and then we measure in place. Macro scale, the sample for anti-fogging experiments, we place the samples over boiling water for 5 seconds, and we let the steam condense on the surface. And then we photograph it for anti-fogging properties. For anti-icing, we place the sample in freezer, typically at minus 18 degrees C for 2 hours. Then we tilt the sample at 10 degrees, and we drop droplets of supercooled water at minus 18 degrees C onto the sample, and we examine if the we here to see using the image in the biofouling. Here are, now I'd like to show you some data, and I'll start with images of the droplet on variety of surfaces we have created. So here is an associated so certainly sense suppose certainly the contact angle for uncoated what happens on the left so the first we deposit water droplet which is dyed blue. So in the case of untreated samples, the water droplet does not move very far. It is stuck on the sample, whereas at the bottom it moved very rapidly. Next we put oil, hexadecane, and again it doesn't move very far on an uncoated sample, where it runs off on the coated sample. Next we put the shampoo. Shampoo does move on the coated samples, whereas it remains stuck on an uncoated sample. Then we put a laundry detergent, and again, laundry detergent moves very rapidly on a coated sample. So this demonstration clearly shows that a coated glass of polypropylene could be used for repellency of various liquids. And the liquids which we have tested for here are water, oil, shampoo, and laundry detergent. Next, we wanted to test for wear resistance or mechanical durability. And again, we performed experiments on a micro scale using an AFM and experiments using a ball and flat tropometer for a macro scale experiments. And the photograph in each set, the photograph on the left column shows the samples before wear experiments, and on the right, they show the photographs of a sample after testing. So here, wear experiment was performed over 50 micron by 50 micron region. And the first row shows the data for the polyelectrolyte with the functional layer with no nanoparticles. And this row shows the data for super hydrophobic and super oleophobic coating. So when you look at a coating with no particles, you see covered. Coated with poly. Shows percent of part. And we'll supercooled water droplet does slide off the sample and does not get stuck. Whereas if the samples are superhydrophilic, the drop onto the mesh. So you can see clearly the water goes through and oil gets collected on the mesh, which then can be collected and companies inside. Medical industry and is easily available. And the dimensions of E. coli cells are 0.75 micron in width and about 2 micron long. In the bioassay procedure, we cover the sample with E. coli and we incubate at 37 degrees C percent of area covered by this biomass which could be present on the samples. So this bar chart shows percent of reduced coverage as a result of this roughness induced structuring which is present on the samples, and the top graph shows the data of E. coli at 100. coverage by environment, the bacteria will condense on the surface and continue to condense uh, and build into biomass, which is under larger. Readily used. Structure using and significant advances in nanofabrication techniques allows one to replicate structures of interest in the field of biomimetics by using smart materials. And one can already find some products which exist today inspired by biomimetics, and we believe we will just begin to scratch the surface, and the field of biomimetics holds a tremendous promise in commercial applications. Here I've listed 4 major references. The first one is a book a former postdoc and I have written titled Multi-Scale Dissipative Mechanism and Hierarchical Surfaces, Friction, Superhydrophobicity in Biomimetics. Second is a review paper I wrote back in 2009 titled Biomimetics Lesson from Nature, an overview. That's a good overview of some 40 different species found in nature, which provide functionalities which we are interested in. The next is the Springer Handbook of Nanotechnology, 4th edition, which came out in 2017. And it's a handbook which consists of various fabrication techniques and applications in the field of nanotechnology. And the last reference here is a textbook on biomimetics titled Biomimetics, Bio-inspired Hierarchical Structured Surfaces for Green Science and Technology. And 3rd edition has just come out in 2018. And that provides a lot more data than I've been able to cover in a short period of time. And this new 3rd edition is about 1,000 pages long. So with that, I'll stop, and I thank you for your attention.
Thank you for your contribution, for your presentation. I don't have in-depth knowledge to put some question for you. So you put more general question, okay?
All right.
One is, do you think that the biomimetics is on unlimited source to do research?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question? I'm not able to hear you very well.
Yes. Yeah.
It's hard for me to understand.
Yeah. My question is about the biomimetics.
Yes.
Do you think that the biomimetics is an unlimited source to do research?
Yes, I feel the field of biomimetics is an emerging field. The very few of us around the world have started work in this area, and there is a lot more work which can be done, and with time more and more researchers will be drawn into the field and will be able to make useful contributions. The benefit of the field of biomimetics is that nature consists of very large number of species. I mentioned earlier there are some 1.7 million species are known to exist, and each species provide various lessons which then could be used to develop a product for various commercial applications. So I find it's a very rich area for research. Very little has been done. We really barely have begun to scratch the surface, so to speak, and I working together to really advance our knowledge.
Do you think that only 10% was explored by the biomimetics?
I would say they have begun to scratch the surface. So the work we have done is minuscule compared to other fields. I feel in the next decade we'll see a lot of research in
Okay, and do you think that is more cheap or more expensive to do research based in biomimetics?
I, I don't think studying nature is expensive. Depending on what you're interested in, it could be done rather cheaply. And and fabrications of the features could be relatively expensive, but it's all relative. I think everything, at least, always looking simple, adaptable ways of fabricating, which so many of the things could be done cheaply, could be done using which is many pieces of lab. So I don't think it's more expensive than other advanced research, which is carried out by universities and research labs.
And my last question is about the toxicology or nanotoxicology. Do you think that biomimetics aspect is very good for toxicology or nanotoxicology? Is not so problem?
Right. Well, the nature uses fabrication techniques, which obviously exist in nature. If we look at nature and we understand nature practice, using on the toxicity.
Okay, thank you so much for your second contribution to our program, and I hope when you have news about your researches, he can do another program for you, explain for us your increase in knowledge in this kind of research.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Bye bye. So you can send me a link once it is online.
Okay, tomorrow I think I can send you the link.
All right. Sounds great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Do cacete, puta que me pariu.